What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the official Third Age Reforged YouTube channel. My name is Jordan, also known as J-Monster. Thank you for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a 4 versus 4 themed faction battle. This is the Kingdom of Dale taking on their natural enemies, the Tribal Confederation of RHUN. This is actually done on a new map created by Sin of the Dark Cloud. I believe this is called Grand Canyon Lake or something like that. In any case, you'll get to see it in the upcoming .92 patch when that arrives, along with a couple new factions. So get hyped, because it is coming. Crow and the team and the testers have been working very hard on getting things ready for you guys, and it should be available soon. But without any further ado, let's take a look at some of the army compositions, then we can get right into the battle. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're looking at today is, of course, one of the runic armies, being commanded by yours truly. I've got a couple units of Rim, one unit of Camel's Dragon Knights, who are the super heavy cavalry pick for the runic faction. These guys look awesome, very distinct from the rest of the army with that silver armor. They've got a lot of HP and a lot of charge damage, especially in the upcoming .92 patch, so keep an eye on these guys. They can do a lot of work. I've also got two units here of Scion Rim. Wow, that was hard. Scion Rim, 2 HP Spearmen, very good at holding the line. One unit of Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, who are an offensively minded unit. They got those double sabers there. They've also got 2 HP, so they can stick around in combat for a long time and do a lot of damage. A couple units of Balcott Tribesmen. Everybody loves the javelins. Very, very deadly if you can get them going. 3 units of Locanar Rim. Ooh, a little bit of lag there. 3 units of Locanar Rim, who are a medium archer. I would definitely say that they are medium. They are very vulnerable to counter missile fire, though, so they do tend to fall apart in the face of some of the more elite archer factions like the Elves and indeed Dale, who we'll be facing today. I've also brought 1 unit of Camel's Chosen, normally a general's bodyguard pick. These guys are really nice offensive infantry as well. They are AP, multiple HP, not easy to kill. I believe they actually have 3 hit points, so killing these guys, not an easy feat. I've also got 4 units of Loke Flag Rim to give me a little bit of AP on my main battle line, and I'm backing them up with 3 units of Loke Gamp Rim. Don't know if I've mentioned the cavalry already, but I do have 2 units of Loke Enas Rim. Moving on to my ally, who has a very similar army build to my own. This is one of the other runic armies being commanded by Mechanic. He's got 4 units of Clan Hunters, Light Archers. He's got 4 units of Loke Flag Rim. I believe 1 unit of Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, 1 unit of Bodyguards, and I think he's got another unit of the Enas Rim hiding around here somewhere. Never mind, he's got a unit of Camel's Dragon Knights. He's also got the Chariots, a new unit in the .9 patch cycle, which we don't see very often. They are quite fragile, but if you get these guys on the charge before they die, which inevitably they will when they get engaged in melee, they can do a lot of damage, especially if you have them charging down the axis of a unit, like straight down a battle line sort of thing, like you would do with wind spells in Warhammer. He's also got 2 units of Camel Shadowguard, a couple units of Loke Scion Rim, 1 unit of Camel's Chosen, 1 unit of Catapult, and 1 unit, oh yes, I love these guys, pardon me, of the Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen. These guys, so strong. They've got 2 different ammo types. One of them is a brutal kind of clustered volley of what appears to be ballista bolts, and the other is a giant fireball that will shred infantry units. Mechanic's also got 1 unit of Balcott Tribesmen to round off his skirmish force. And I think that just about does it for his army. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I actually have a ballista on my side as well. So each of us on my side of the battlefield have an artillery piece to work with. Moving over here, we have the creator of this map and one of the lead developers on the mod. This is the army of Sin of the Dark Cloud, which is extremely cavalry heavy. Sin is a very aggressive cavalry player. He's got 1 unit of Bodyguard, 1 unit of Horse Guard, who come to a very amusing end in this battle, which you guys will see shortly, 1 unit of Camel's Dragon Knights, and a couple units of Loke Enas Rim. And because he is so heavy in the cavalry department, his infantry line is a little bit more sparse. He's got 1 unit of Camel's Chosen, 4 units, I believe, of Loke Flag Rim, 1 unit of Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen, and I think that basically does it. He's also got a couple units of Clan Crossbows, 2 units of Balcott Tribesmen, 1 unit of Dragon's Wrath Crossbows. There's actually a unit of Shadow Bows hanging around here. Yes, indeed, here they are. One of the more ambush-minded archer units in the game. These guys are able to hide anywhere, and they've got a little bit of ammunition. I think slightly more armor than the Locanar Rim, but they are still very vulnerable to missiles. So when these guys come under fire, I recommend that you have them stop what they're doing and they will crouch down in this little hiding stance, and you'll be able to spare them any further missile damage. But Sin also has, I believe, 1 unit of the Sapphire Bladesman, who is a general's bodyguard unit. But they're also a javelin unit very akin to the Balcott Tribesmen. He's got 1 unit of Ballista, 1 unit of Catapult, and of course the standard Camel's Chosen and all that kind of good stuff. Moving on now to the 4th and final runic army, we have the Army of Rules. He's got a couple units of Loke Enas Rim, 4 units of Flag Rim, a couple units of Gamp Rim, and some Scion Rim as well. You can see them in the back there. He also has some Sapphire Bladesmen, some Clan Crossbows, 3, I believe, units of Loknar Rim, and hanging out up here, he's got another unit of Loknar Rim. So maybe he's got 4 units. No, it looks to be about 2 or 3 units. Way in the back, he's got a couple pieces of artillery, 1 piece of catapult, 1 ballista unit, 1 unit of Camel's Dragon's Knights, and of course, some Camel's Chosen to round it all off. So we got a lot of very deadly heavy infantry, and some very sexy heavy cavalry regiments, which is one of RHUN's bigger advantages. That and their AP damage. So without any further ado, let's move on and let's take a look at what the forces of Dale are bringing to the battle today. Opposite RHUN, we have an army commanded by another one of the Reforged developers. This is WK the Map Maker. He's got a couple units of Elder of Archers, very strong elite archers for Dale. They lend Dale a little bit of that famous elven accuracy that the Woodland Realm and other such factions can boast. He's also got a couple units of Dalian Cavalry, really swift light cavalry. I'd say they're more like medium cavalry in terms of their defense stats, and they have a really vicious charge bonus as well. Very useful for getting behind enemy formations and getting those hammer and anvil strikes that can so often change games. He's also got a couple units of dismounted Earls to give himself a little bit of staying power on the main infantry line. These guys are reasonably expensive. I think they cost about 950 or 850 or so to bring, but they've got 2 HP and a lot of armor value that they bring to the table. Pardon me. Also got a couple units of Dalesmen here. Not the most survivable of units, but as light infantry go, they do have AP and a decent charge bonus, so they can do some serious damage on the charge or when supporting a battle line, like say supporting his Earls, for example. He's also got a couple units of the Dalian Spearmen, which I don't think people realize are actually AP. The Dalian Spearmen can do a lot of work when masked and well supported against other heavy infantry, so definitely watch out for them. WK's also got a few units of Dalian Marksmen, which are coming under a little bit of fire right now. The Dalian Marksmen are very much a workhorse unit for Dale. They don't have the highest ammunition count, but they do have a lot of missile damage, 10 missile damage, I believe. They are AP in melee, and they have great shield bonuses as well. So beating these guys at range, nearly impossible in the .91 patch. They will outlast anything you can throw at them. Backing them up, he's got 3 units of Barding Herd, a very classic unit that everybody loves. These are AP Halberds, as Halberds are generally in Reforged, and when well supported, again, they can do a lot of damage. You really need to support your main line as Dale. Other factions can get away with their more power horse units, just kind of like soloing significant amounts of enemy troops, but Dale definitely needs to have a little bit of love from other units to be effective. I think that just about does it for WK's army. So let's take a look at his ally now. Actually, no, WK's got some more forces back here. That's my bad. He's got 1 unit of Royal Guard, 1 unit of Catapult, and a couple units of Dale Swordmasters. But in any case, moving on now to his ally, Zach Almighty, another... I think he also contributes maps to 3rd Age Reforged. He's got a unit of Dalian Paladins, a new unit in the .9 patch cycle. These guys do serious work. They are AP Shock Infantry with those big-ass maces of theirs, and... yeah, they can do a lot of damage on the charge, and they have multiple HP as well, so not easy to kill them. Zach's also bringing some Dalian Cavalry. I think he's got 1 or 2 units of them. Yeah, 1 or 2 units right there. Some Dalian Swordmasters, 1 unit of Earls, 1 or 2 units of the Elder of Archers, a couple units of Laketown Swordsmen. It has them labeled as unlocalized placement text for some reason, but that's just a problem with my game, not with Reforged in general. I don't know why that is, but they are definitely Laketown Swords. A passable medium infantry unit. Again, it needs to be supported. Zach Almighty's also got a unit of dismounted Earls, and out in front here he's got some more Laketown Swords, some more Dalian Marksmen, and a couple units of Laketown Spearmen. No, not Laketown Spearmen, these are Dalian Spears. He's got 1 unit of Catapult. I think that just about does it for his army. Yeah, we got some more Laketown infantry over here as well. I think maybe he's got about 4 of them, in fact. Moving on now to my side of the battle, we have 2 very, very scary Dalish forces. The first one being commanded by Pulfavidak. He's got a couple units of the Laketown Swords, I believe 3 units of Dalian Marksmen, which is the max you can take, 1 unit of Barding Herd, 2 units of Laketown Pikes, 4 units of the Dalian Spears, 1 unit of Dalian Paladins, a couple units of the Laketown, or not Laketown, the Dalian Cavalry, and 1 unit of Earls. He's also got some Royal Guard hanging out here somewhere, which I believe is where his general is, and a single unit of Dragon Slayers who's lost in the mix. Oh, there they are right there, those gigantic paddle-like swords. He's got 1 unit of Catapult, which you see right there, and that just about does it for his army. So let's take a look at his ally, that being Vislag. He's got 3 units of Dalian Marksmen, I believe 4 units of the the Lake Town swords, 1 unit of catapult, 1 unit of ballista, 2 units of earls, and I don't think he has any Dalian cavalry, but he's got a lot of infantry units to make up for it. 4 units of Lake Town pikemen. Pikes and Reforged are very strong from the fronts, and actually it's hard to flank them at the moment as well. So really you need strong arrows or javelin units to get in range of the pikes in order to whittle down their numbers in a serious and efficient way. He's also got 1 unit of Dragon Slayers and a single unit of Royal Guard, which is where his general is going to be. Well, that just about does it for the army compositions. Let's go ahead and let's jump into the replay. As the battle begins, the forces of RHUN are going to suffer a little bit of a setback. Unfortunately, as you can see here, Sin of the Dark Cloud has not been able to move his cavalry back towards the safety of his back line, so they're going to have to deploy very far forward. And as a result, this poor horse archer unit is going to feel the hot justice of 3 units of Dalian marksmen, and they're going to nearly wipe that unit out. Look at that. Look at the destruction. They actually took down some of the Loki Enos from him as well. I mean, I suppose it could have been worse. I suppose they could have killed one of his heavy cataphracts units or something like that. But still, for an army that's invested as much into their cavalry wing as Sin of the Dark Cloud has, that is still a loss that is going to be dearly felt. So we can see him shifting all of his cavalry now to the other end. At the same time, both Rules and Sin of the Dark Cloud letting loose with their artillery batteries. This is really the only way they're going to reliably kill these Dalian marksmen as RHUN. The shadow bows do okay against them, but you can really only take 1 unit of shadow bows without getting a prohibitive price increase. So the Dale factions definitely have the advantage in terms of the skirmish fight, but with all those artillery pieces on the other end of the field, maybe RHUN is going to be able to kind of even out that disparity a little bit. But let's jaunt on over to the other side of the lake, and let's see what the armies of Vislac and Pope Fluffyduck are doing. You can see them advancing forward here. What they're going to do is try and set up a large defensive position right here, more or less at the mouth of this crossing, which is a good idea for a couple of reasons. One, it really bottles us up and prevents us from being able to maneuver very effectively, and really just funnels us in to the front of their line. Now, they've got a lot of pikes, as we saw in the army composition portion of the video, so that it's gonna be an uphill slog, definitely, for the forces of RHUN. We don't actually have any pikes to counter theirs. The Lokgamp Rim are merely halberdiers, so they're AP and they've got a lot of good things going for them, but they don't have the range of those pikes. And when pikes are in defensive position, it can be hard for melee to get close to them unless they've got a shield wall. But in any case, popping back over to Sin of the Dark Cloud and Rule's side of the battle, we can see all of this cavalry kind of conglomerating here in the woods, and it looks to me like they're going to be launching a serious attack on the Dalian left wing. This very overextended left wing, in fact. Look at this. WK's forces, they're just kind of out and about here. I don't really know what the plan is. Maybe he's got some hidden units or something, and he's trying to draw the cavalry into a decisive engagement so that he can smash them with whatever he's got out here. But from the stuff that's visible, if those cavalry were to come across the field, there would be nothing that WK could do without reinforcements to stop them. And if that happens, that's going to be a really expensive portion of his army gone just because of a positioning mistake. Speaking of cavalry, though, we have those horse guard, rather, looking like they want to get a piece of those Dalian marksmen. Sin of the Dark Cloud sending them on a suicide mission into the front of those Dalian marksmen. They were going for these guys, but WK on top of it got his spearmen charging into the battle. These horse guard are going to suffer pretty grievously at the hands of these archers. They are going to sort of get a charge off, but they're going to rout at the very last second, so they don't actually end up killing anybody. Very unfortunate for these horse guard. They've just not had a good time. This has not been their battle at all. And there they go. The rest of them fleeing in a panic right into the waiting arms of the Dalian spearmen, and that is going to be game over for all that remains of that unit. So some early losses for RHUN at this point, but if we pop back over to the runic right flank, we can see that maybe they're going to be able to pull this back a little bit, because right now they're down by 1%. That's not that bad, but they are out in a unit of cavalry. So it looks like they're amassing for an assault here on the Dalian left, and we'll see just what happens. Let's pop back over to my side of the lake, and we can see exactly what the maneuvering between these two forces is going to amount to. So we've brought our troops forward, and we're kind of wary about walking in there. This is a very narrow area. There's not a lot of room for us to scoot our cavalry around and really blah, a little bit of lag there, and really take advantage of the fact that we have very strong cataphract units. So everything is going to be covered by just a wall of pikes, and we're kind of iffy about it. We don't have an advantage in terms of skirmishers, and we barely have an advantage in terms of infantry, given the presence of all of these very cheap but very, very effective pike units, well above what it costs to bring them. Moving on to the other side, it looks like Sin of the Dark Cloud still maneuvering. I'm not too sure that him and Rules are really ready to commit to this. I mean, it's over open grounds. They are being flanked by Dalian marksmen, who I think are already opening fire on them. And here they are moving forward, but those Dalian marksmen are well within range. So this is going to be costly for Sin of the Dark Cloud. So RHUN needs this to pay off. If they don't get the effect that they need, or if their cavalry is wiped out, then Dale is going to have the field wide open for them. See a little bit of skirmishing fire coming in from both sides. This poor unit of Lucayinas Rim, you can see some of the members getting picked off by that crossfire. Over here, the Lucayinas Rim faring a little bit better, but those Elder Avari archers just focus firing this one unit are going to be a real problem. Looks like they're switching targets now to the Campbell's Dragon Knights. Not convinced that that's a good target for him. They have a lot of armor and a lot of shield value and HP to boot. So the bodyguard is going to manage to connect, just clipping off the wing of the Elder Avari archer unit, flattening them completely. Over on the other side, the Yinas Rim finally making it across the field and getting stuck in with the Dalian Cav. That is not going to be a fun fight for the Dalian Cav. A nice countercharge there does claim the lives of several of the Yinas Rim, but pound for pound, those light cavalrymen do not have what it takes to take on the armored cataphracts, especially not with these Dragon Knights bringing around the rear. Speaking of, nice attack from the rear of this Elder Avari archer unit coming in from the Yinas Rim and from the Dragon Knights. And look at the carnage. These poor Elder Avari archers, very expensive archer unit, just getting massacred. Over here, it's even worse, where those Dragon Knights are present. They're just hacking these guys down left and right. Dale just doesn't have the ability to stop them. You can see a countercharge here from the Dalian Cavalry, trying to hold up these Campbell's Dragon Knights, possibly give these guys an opportunity to flee and run away. I think that's probably the best option for WK at this point. If he wants to save these archers, he's going to have to use his cavalry to form a rear guard to allow them to escape. Because I think in this kind of fight, they're going to be a little bit more useful than these light cavalrymen, who really don't have a chance against some of the cataphracts and things like that. And it looks like that's exactly what he's trying to do, trying to get out of there with the Avari archers. Sin of the Dark Cloud and Rules, though, not going to let him get away so easily. The Avari archers fleeing over open ground, back towards the safety of their lines. These guys trying to get out of there, but unfortunately, they're going to have their retreat cut off by the Camel's Dragon Knights, who are just going to run these guys down. I'm not too sure what WK is doing, charging these guys back in the battle. Maybe he's just resigned to the fate of his Elder Avari archers, and they're just going to try and take down some of these Camel's Dragon Knights, if at all possible. Oh man, there they go. Dalian Cavalry pulling back, trying to cut their losses and get out of there. I'm not too sure what WK is doing with these Avari archers, though. Anyway, we'll move on for a little bit. Move back over to the other end. You can see we've inched forward a little bit. We're already starting to take some missile damage from those Dalian marksmen. Mechanic has moved up with his clan hunters and things like that in order to screen the assault of my ballista. I'm actually targeting Fluffy Duck's catapult right now to devastating effect. That catapult is already gone, so one of their artillery pieces has been neutralized, which is going to make our lives a little bit easier. However, Vislak's other two artillery pieces much better covered and well out of range of my ballista, and they're already beginning to open fire on my lines. Looks like they're targeting. Oh no, my poor camel's chosen and taken a big bite out of my Gamp Rim as well. Very, very unfortunate. These units are going to be essential for trying to break through, and they're already beginning to whittle us down when we're at a disadvantage. So this is not going to be a fun fight for us over here. Let's pop back on over and see how Sin of the Dark Cloud is doing. Looks like he's wiped out those Elder Avari archers completely. I think maybe some of the Camel's Dragon Knights. This may have been what WK was trying to do, trying to bait the cavalry into the front of the pikes, which is why he was running back and forth across this line. I think that probably makes a lot more sense than just committing them to melee and watching them die. There's a little bit of tactics going into this. I'm inclined to believe that's what WK had in mind. But in any case, the forces of Dale have been ousted from this position with heavy losses. The Cataphract companies took a fair few themselves, but they are still very much intact. The UNS RHUN still in fighting condition, even though they have lost nearly half of the unit in some cases. But they've still got the Dragon Knights, and yeah, they're definitely in command of this flank now. So it's going to be all that Dale can do to hold them back. They have to now kind of circle the wagons. You can see the Barding Herd here taking up position on this hill here, so that the Cataphracts will not have an easy time punching through and getting into the Dalish backlines. Meanwhile, the skirmish fight resumes. So we got some Dalian cavalry hanging out here in the back lines. This is some of WK's Dalian cavalry. Looks like he might have been trying to pick a fight with some of these Sapphire Bladesmen and things like that. But unfortunately, there's enough runic forces still left back here that that's not going to be easy for him. So in the Dark Clouds, Loke UNS RHUN, one unit of Loke UNS RHUN pursuing those light Dalian cav through the forest, trying to keep an eye on them, trying to keep them busy, so that WK can't launch any surprise attacks on his back line. Looking out front here, so we've got some more Dalian cav from Zac Almighty, looking to take advantage of some of the confusion in the runic army right now. They've got Dalian cav in the back, and now they've got these Dalian cav here in the front, cleaning out what remains of Rhule's skirmishers. At the same time, this is a great move. Zac Almighty has brought up a couple units of Dalian marksmen to support the attack from his Dalian cav, and actually to cover their retreat as they flee back towards the safety of the lines. Their lightning raid having been, from the looks of things, really, really successful against RHUN skirmishers. So now the skirmish fight firmly in favor of Dale. Although the Dalian marksmen can't have too much ammo left at this point, so I think we're going to see the lines begin to clash very, very shortly. Speaking of a skirmish fight, though, we've moved forward, Mechanica and I, with the entirety of our force, actually. Bring them in to try and deal with some of these Dalian marksmen. But unfortunately, I think we forgot just how powerful these guys are. So we're trying to skirmish them down, but honestly, you can see a lot of arrows hitting them, but it's not going to have any effect. Their armor and their shield value is just too high. That this is exactly the kind of fight that they are designed as a unit to win. Quick little note here. It looks like, unfortunately, I was driven back from my ballista piece. So the artillery of Vislac still active and not under any immediate threat. So seeing that the skirmish fight is all but lost if we stay there and just allow our forces to get shot up. And you know what, maybe ultimately that would have been a good idea if we had just let the Dalian marksmen waste their ammunition on some cheap units like the Clan Hunters and less important units like the Loknar Rim. But we decide that we want to try and keep our skirmishers intact moving into the mid and late game, so we're going to move forward with our infantry force. I'm making a little bit of a mistake here. You can see that I'm moving forward in pretty good order, but unfortunately my ally is a little bit too far behind to lend the support I need when I'm going to need it, so I should have waited a little bit longer before launching my assault. My attack moving forward, those artillery pieces from Vislac really proving to be a nuisance. You can see just a smoking pile of my poor dead Gamp Rim, who have been suffering very, very heavily throughout the course of this battle. And over here you can see them being focus fired down by those by the Dalian missile troops, which is another good reason why we should have let the Dalians exhaust their ammo supply on our less important units before moving in. My Gamp Rim, very important, but also very vulnerable to missiles, which is what Dale over on this end has in abundance at this point. See those Dalian marksmen fleeing back behind the lines. A lot of Lake Town swordsmen mixed in with the pikes. That's going to be a nasty combination. They're all in shield wall formation. They've got so much density. They've got so much unit mass that even if I was in shield wall formation, it would be next to impossible for me to push through effectively to counter those pikes with that particular formation. But in any case, it is going to be a glorious scrap as my runic battalions charge forward. Let's get right into the thick of it and enjoy this for what it is. Beautiful attack there. But you can see the range on those pikes just preventing my Loke Flag Rim, who are far superior infantry, to anything that Dale can field, just pushing them back and just not letting them get in there and take advantage of their high attack value and their armor piercing. Yeah, so Dale is holding pretty well. It says that defeat is certain for them, but don't believe it. Over here we have these Dalian spearmen, these damned AP spearmen, doing a number on my poor Flag Rim. Lucky for me, though, Mechanic is not too far behind, and you can see him charging forward I think he should probably be a little bit swifter here. There's an opportunity to catch Dale out of position, which is not something we thought we were going to be able to do given how long they had to prepare. So the rest of his troops need to surge forward and take advantage of this fact. Oh man, my poor Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen just getting absolutely massacred by those Dalian missiles. They are just so strong. Beautiful charge there right into the front, but my beleaguered Dragon's Wrath not going to have the effect that I need them to. They are backed up with some Scion Rim, which is a nice little 1-2 combination, but unfortunately Mechanic is not going to be able to get into position in time in order to flank these guys. Oh man, some brutal artillery volleys coming in from Vista. Look at that. Look at the destruction being caused by that catapult. So I can see what's happening to our main line, and I've actually brought all of my Nar-Rim forward, and we're going to begin to target Vislak's artillery pieces as quickly as possible, because these things need to die or our front line is going to fall apart really, really fast. And we're already not doing amazing. And it says defeat is a distinct possibility, but honestly those pikes are going to have a devastating effect on our forces. Ooh, a little bit of friendly fire there, although Mechanic's catapult did take a nice bite out of those pikemen. At the same time, I'm focusing the Dalian left flank with my artillery piece as well. I've now moved my crew back up to occupy the ballista while the attention of their archers is elsewhere. We're going to try and weaken these guys and actually take some nice bites out of a very important elite unit in the form of these Dalian paladins. So we're going to swoop back over to the other side, because at the same time we move forward, our allies move forward in tandem, so the Dalian forces would be occupied all across the line. You can see some of the Enes Rim from Sin of the Dark Cloud trying to overlap these Lake Town swordsmen. They're doing a great job of it. The Lake Town swordsmen already shaken. If they can rout this large body of troops, they're going to free up their poor Flag Rim, who are just surrounded and suffering heavily right now, and allow them to get forward. What is going on with this cavalry? They are freaking out right now. That is super strange. I think they may be trying to push through the Runic Infantry, but the Runic Infantry has the mass to hold these guys back, which is maybe why their pathfinding is all messed up right now. I don't know. It's very interesting. I didn't see that in the initial phase of the battle. Zach Almighty trying to get his Dalian cavalry into the back lines to cause all kinds of problems. It's not going to be a good thing, though, if he manages to get himself routed. No, ultimately, he is going to be able to scoot through there and get into the clan crossbowmen, stop them from doing their bloody work against Dale, which is really taking a toll. Look at what they've done to the center here for Dale. There's barely any Dalian spearmen left. This is maybe this is what we should have done on the other side, is try to skirmish down his main line before we moved in with our own. Probably would have been a little bit smarter, although it's less bold and less glorious to witness than a big frontal charge. Over along the line, the Runic Infantry not doing as well as you would think. There's a lot of AP mixed in there for Dale. Dale has a surprising amount of armor-piercing infantry. And as a result, the Loke Flag Rim are beginning to fall. Good news, though, at least the combination of Loke Flag Rim and Loke Gamp Rim are pushing through the Dale Swordmasters, doing a lot of damage. The Dismounted Earls are finding themselves a little bit overwhelmed right now. They've got Camels Chosen on the flank, which is not something that they are prepared, not a fight that they are really equipped to win. And over here we've got the Scion Rim, who I don't think I've mentioned this earlier, but the Scion Rim are AP as well. This is a lot of AP units closing in around WK's left flank. So I think we're going to start to see Dale's line be rolled up in a few short moments once the Runic Infantry has time to do a little bit more damage. Popping back over to the other side, our forces not doing too bad, especially over here on the Dalian right, where I've committed my Camels Chosen. They are holding up surprisingly well. Not very many of them left, however. They've taken, I think, about 40 or so casualties, but the damage they've done to the Lake Town pikemen has been significant, and it's probably the most damage I think that we've done anywhere else on the line. If we take a quick look, you can see us really starting to thin out. Look at this. The Gamp Rim just not having a good time. We are slowly beginning to overwhelm the Lake Town pikes, but I think there's actually... No, that happens a little bit later. Sorry about that, guys. But we are starting to lose a lot of numbers in the process, and there's so many of these Dalians, especially in the center. Just look at the destruction. Very unfortunate for us, although we have managed to wrap around their flanks and break through in a few different places. Ooh, a little bit of friendly fire there, taking down some of the Dalian pikes. It's not a fun thing for Dale, but over on their left, they're doing very well. In fact, I'd say that they're going to beat us. They're definitely going to beat us. Yes, here it is. Ah, damn. Damn you, Generals cutscene. Nice hammer and anvil charge from Pope Fluffy Duck into the back of, I believe, my Loke Flag Rim. I'm just going to flatten those guys and leave the Dalians supreme in their command of the center. We were beating them back a little bit, managing to flank around and slowly whittling down their main lines. But as this continues to happen, another nice charge there into the rear, a surprising amount of damage for light cavalry. They say they're light cavalry, but honestly, it feels like they charge like heavy cav, and that was devastating to my back lines. This Dalian cav now looking to get a couple more hammer and anvil strikes. They're actually going to go right for my Camel's Chosen. Actually, no, this is Mechanics Camel's Chosen. And look at that. That's more damage than I would have expected from light cavalry, taking down nearly 40 Camels Chosen in a single charge. We're focusing them with missiles, but it's just not enough. They've got good shields, and they've got decent armor as well. Elsewhere, the Dalian forces are using this opportunity to break through our lines, and you can see the Earls just running amok all over the place. Very, very unfortunate. Let's pop back over here. One of the things we missed earlier is I managed to scoot some of my Dragon Knights behind the Dalian lines and support my allies on the other end. But unfortunately, the result is my general dies horribly. I'm not too sure what was shooting them. What could have killed them? I honestly have no idea. Lucky for us, though, the fight on the other end is going much, much better. Not Zack Almighty. Rules and Sin of the Dark Cloud have managed to break through, kill most of the runic forces. I can see over here WK's flank very isolated. Actually, a lot of those sword masters fleeing because of the hammer and anvil strikes from Sin of the Dark Cloud's Dragon Knights. Dragon's Wrath missiles just doing so much damage to those Dalian paladins of Zack Almighty before they can even get into the battle. So, yeah, RHUN is definitely reigning supreme on this end. However, over on ours, the same cannot be said. Dale has broken through our lines. They're now free to hammer and anvil us. We've beaten them on their right flank. You can see us now surrounding a very significant portion of their troops over here. These Earls just decimating my Balcott tribesmen, who I really have no way to defend. I tried to keep them in place to get a nice volley off in the Earls, but unfortunately the AI can be a little bit slow in the uptake, and I wasn't able to get a volley off in time, which would have greatly thinned out this Earls unit. So unfortunately, I have nothing left. Most of my cavalry has been destroyed. The Dalish cavalry now is supreme and able to do basically whatever they want to us. Oop, a little bit of lag there. Over here, I've tried to pull out my Balcott tribesmen, trying to get them out of there so that we can potentially get some nice volleys off and maybe kill this unit of Earls, because they have so much heavy cavalry. And going into the late game, knowing that my allies are really the only hope for my team at this point, I don't want them to have two completely full-strength battalions of Earls at their disposal. Got a couple nice volleys off there. Didn't really do a whole lot, unfortunately. Yeah, and those Earls are going to be able to engage back with my tribesmen. I'm going to try the same trick twice, but Fluffy Duck is on top of it this time, and those Earls are going to be hot on the heels of my Balcott tribesmen, and it's not going to take them too much to catch them. Let's see if they get one more volley off. Nope, they're not going to be able to turn around in time. Oh, maybe. Maybe. Come on, take your sweet time. Just do it. Just do it. No, and there it is. The Earls are going to get in there and disrupt that volley, and that's going to be all she wrote for my poor Balcott tribesmen, trying to run them out of there again, but they are just going to rout and flee off the field. And there goes another one of the Dalish generals. And that's pretty much all she wrote for our forces on this side. We still have a few of our elite battalions. Got some Camels Chosen here, and I'm using them to try and run down some of these Earls. But Vislock's got his Dragon Slayers already in tow, and really these Camels Chosen isolated like this, surrounded by cavalry and by these damned AP archers, they're not going to be able to stand for too much longer. Over here, all the remains of Mechanics Force defeating a few of these Dalian marksmen. But elsewhere, look at this. Just look how much forces they have left. Look how efficient those pikes have been for them. Just butcher. There's just a pile of golden armored corpses there, mostly due to those pike units. Surprisingly enough, Vislac still has some artillery left. I managed to destroy his catapult, but that artillery piece still active, and he's still got his Royal Guard. So moving into the late game, the Dalish forces on this end are going to have quite a lot at their disposal. Myself and my ally are trying to deal as much damage to these guys as possible, trying to whittle down their numbers as much as we can to give our allies a bit of a break. Let's move back onto the other end. We can see the forces of Dale have been utterly defeated, completely routed, and RHUN is now consolidating their position. Let's see what we got over here. A few Dragon Slayers. Not too much, though. WK's Royal Guard really not having a good time, getting gunned down by some clan crossbows, firing directly into the rear. At least Sapphire Blazeman holding the Royal Guard in place to allow the clan crossbows to do their bloody work. Some nice tactics there on the part of RHUN and not RHUN, of Rules and Sin of the Dark Cloud. Cavalry charge from Sin of the Dark Cloud, going to see these Royal Guard off for good, and that is basically all she wrote for the last significant portion of Dalish resistance on this end. So we're actually going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. There's a lot of maneuvering from this point on as both sides consolidate after their crushing victories and prepare to face off against each other. So I will see you guys. And here we are. Both sides have consolidated their forces and are beginning to march on one another for the final battle. RHUN's looking pretty good. I can see a lot of Camels Chosen still among their ranks. There's actually a large amount of Sapphire Bladesmen left over, some Balcloth Tribesmen, actually a significant number of Balcloth Tribesmen, and they do have an artillery piece. Rules, who is playing for RHUN, has managed to hold on to his catapult into the late game, and I'm sure it's still got a little bit of ammunition. I didn't see too much more firing from it after the initial skirmish phase. So that can become a really important part of this assault as they move in to square things off with Dale. Let's take a look at what Dale has still got, though. They've definitely got a ballista, which is going to be very important for taking out that artillery piece, and really just for scything through the massed ranks of RHUN's remaining forces. And it looks like they're already trying to get that catapult. Oh no, I hope that catapult still has a part to play. It's I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I was playing for RHUN on this time, but on this on RHUN's side in this game, but damn it, go RHUN. In any case, we can see the combined cavalry forces, everything that remains, which is significant, of Sin of the Dark Cloud, and actually Mechanic is still here. Believe it or not, Mechanic, my ally, still has a unit of Dragon Knights, fairly healthy unit of Dragon Knights to play a part in this battle. A lot of elite infantry moving forward through the forest here. It looks like their plan is an envelopment. The Dalish forces, they don't have a whole lot. They've definitely got less than RHUN does, but I would say that their forces are more efficient. Of course, they've got the pikemen, who, as we've seen, are very strong, and all of these AP spears and things like that, and a fair amount of paladins, too. Look at this. There's a lot of paladins, and not to mention their 2 units of earls. So they've got less, but I would actually say that they've got a quality advantage over RHUN at this point, except in terms of cavalry. The Dragon Knights will clean these earls' clocks very, very easily. What do we got over here? Got a charge from some of Rules' Loke Flag Rim into the front of these Dalian marksmen. Those Dalian marksmen backed up with the pikes are going to clean these guys up with no problems. Over here we can see some Pope Fluffy Ducks, the Dalian marksmen, a little bit out of position and not actually facing the enemy. So the catapult crew here from Sin of the Dark Cloud, now out of ammunition, going to move forward, charge to get into these guys to hold them into place, which is going to prevent them potentially from getting a nice charge off on RHUN. Although nonetheless, they managed to get through there and get stuck in with the Scion Rim pretty well. Dalian Spearmen charging into battle against the Scion Rim. That is not a fight that these Dalian Spearmen are going to win, in my opinion. The Scion Rim have the HP, and they've got more damage and armor. And now they're being backed up with Camels Chosen. That is going to be a massacre for the forces of Dale. This is actually not a terrible tactic on the part of Rules. Whether he intended this or not, the Loke Flag Rim are delaying the rest of the Dalish forces from attacking everything that remains of his Loke Scion Rim companies and things like that now, which is going to give them the opportunity not only to get in position and prevent these Dalian pikes from getting into formation and things like that, but is also going to stop them from getting charged on the flanks. So ultimately, I think that's, whether he intended that or not, that is going to help out his side. Dalian Dragon Slayers with those ridiculous swords, getting stuck in with the Gamp Rim. It's a lot of AP right there, though, and a lot of these units rely quite heavily on their armor. Dalian Paladins charging into that gap. Look at them, just using their mass to muscle their way through the Cyan Rim. And the Cyan Rim are really struggling at this point. They don't really have an answer to this high attack AP unit. Over in the woods, I think we saw an inconclusive cavalry battle. Strangely enough, the Earls are doing really well against those Dragon Knights. Well, these camels, these Dragon Knights in the center of the Dark Cloud, going to catch these Earls from Vislac sleeping, getting a nice flank charge. And at the same time, you can see Mechanics forces coming in from the rear, sandwiching these Earls, and that is going to be all she wrote for them. Many of these heavy cavalry are going to drop quite quickly. Over on the Runic left, or rather right flank, looking pretty even. There's a lot of Paladins in there. There's a lot of Marksmen as well. Although I think I saw... Yes, indeed I did. Oh, never mind. There's some Dragon's Wrath crossbows and things like that around, though, that I think are going to be very important. And, of course, Sin in the Dark Cloud has managed to hold on to his clan crossbows. We saw them firing directly into those Dalian Paladins' faces. That is going to be the support that those Cyan Rim, I think, need in order to pull out a victory. Well, it looks like the crossbow's now out of ammo. Trying to just use their numbers to hold Dale in place for a little bit longer. I don't know how these guys managed to get in behind the lines. But Sin of the Dark Cloud, this is possibly the crossbow unit that we saw firing a little bit earlier. Somehow he managed to get them in behind the Dalian lines. And these guys, no slouches in melee. Not in the slightest. Now they're taking on the Royal Guard and at the same time assaulting the rear of that Dalian position, which is going to have a big effect on morale and the numbers that Dale needs to hold on to. They really are relying on their formation to stand up against the superior Runic infantry. They're doing exactly what they did to us, backing up these AP spears with pikes and other strong infantry. Some Dragon's Wrath guildsmen here took a big charge from those Earls, but it looks like they gave as good as they got. And now the Earls under Pope Fluffy Duck very heavily reduced. Not going to see too much more from them at this point. These Dragon's Wrath guildsmen are in a great position to repulse these Earls and begin to flank. Somehow Sin of the Dark Cloud, this is some really important maneuvers on the part of Sin of the Dark Cloud, actually. I think because he managed to get all of these units behind their lines, including some crossbowmen, and do a lot of damage to the back of the Dalian formations, that is ultimately going to potentially give his faction a victory. Now, these poor clan crossbows, though, they've done their job. They're now fighting to the death. I don't know why. I mean, they could easily escape from this. I won't say easily. There's cavalry there. But they could definitely get away. But instead, they found their courage, and they're going to fight to death against these very elite bowmen. A little bit of a missed micro here on the part of Sin of the Dark Cloud. These Dragon's Wrath guildsmen just kind of standing around. So he is going to get them moving, finally, charging into the flank and rear of those Royal Guardsmen. Dragon's Wrath guildsmen, I'm pretty sure that they can take on the Royal Guard in combat and win quite handily. Oh, a beautiful hammer and anvil strike from Sin of the Dark Cloud, unfortunately. Oh, damn, there goes another Dalus General, too. Fighting one of the... Oh, wow, I didn't even see this. Fighting against one of the Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen units in the back, which Mechanic managed to scoot around the Dalian position. Now assassinating one of the Dalian generals. But there's a nice hammer and anvil strike there from Sin of the Dark Cloud into the back of the Dalian lines. But this is one of the things with pikes. You would assume that hammer and anvil strikes and outflanking them would be the tactics to employ to defeat pike blocks, but for whatever reason, it doesn't really affect them all that much. So they are able to just easily turn around, and you can see a lot of dead Dragon Knights now on the field because of that. Those pikes just holding their ground quite admirably, doing a lot of damage to the Runic infantry, but they may rout. Especially now with some of these Sapphire Bladesmen in behind them, along with the Dragon Wrath crossbows. I think one charge from the Sapphire Bladesmen into these Laketown pikemen would be enough to send them fleeing. The Dalian line now slowly being overwhelmed. You can see that Sin of the Dark Cloud has managed to break that flank due to some very intelligent maneuvering. And that, I think, is going to be all she wrote. Oh, man, those Laketown pikemen just took a javelin volley in the rear. This is one of the few things that can really shut down pikes in Reforged, is javelin units, and they are definitely being used to great effect. These pikemen, for some reason, fighting to the death, not sure why, but given the look of things right now, I think RHUN is going to be able to come out of this with a very narrow but solid victory. Over on the Dalian left, they have managed to regain a little bit of ground wiping out a significant amount of the runic infantry. If they can get the Dragon Slayers and the Paladins into the back of this line, that would be victory for them. Honestly, they would roll up this portion of the line, and then what is left, really? There's some Scion Rim and some other elites and stuff over here, but a lot of these units, like the Clan Crossbows, who are quite numerous, 124 in the unit, would melt away, and that's really the majority of their numbers at this point. Let's see what we got back here. These Dragon's Wrath Crossbows really putting up an admirable showing, hacking down these Dalian marksmen left and right. Still another unit from Mechanic here. This is really important as well. The Mechanic managed to hold on to a unit of Dragon Knights to this late point in the battle, as healthy as they were. That's really countered the cavalry advantage from, or the strong cavalry that Pope Fluffy Duck and Vislac had moving into the late game. I would say that definitely the most decisive portions of this battle were the fact that the Runic players had so much cav, and they were able to break this Dalian right flank right here, and slowly but surely roll up the Dalian line. Yeah, without that, I don't think that they would have been able to win a straight battle against Dale. Oh man, it's a lot of routing forces. Look at that, 33 spearmen here. I think this is because Pope Fluffy Duck lost his general at some point in the battle. Another decisive moment that broke the Dalian morale. Yeah, the Dalian Paladins have now rebuffed the attack on their left, and they are rolling up what small amounts of runic line remains. These Gamp Rim not having a fun time having to fight these. Are those Dalian Paladins routing? That is astonishing. That is really hard to do. But these poor Gamp Rim pinned between Dalian Paladins and the Dragon Slayers with their insane swords. They're just not going to be able to clean these guys out fast enough, I think. Runic Infantry has all but destroyed the Royal Guard. There's now nothing holding them back. They're going to be able to surround the small remnants of Dale, and actually still being shot by some of Rule's Clan Crossbows. Let's get right in there and see what happens. I think those Dragon Slayers right there, all three of these guys are probably going to go down. On a nice countercharge here from the Dalians. One final stand against the Camels Chosen of Sin of the Dark Cloud. They're not doing too bad, surprisingly. Yeah, it even says that they're winning. Although with the rest of these runic reinforcements moving in, I think that's going to be all she wrote. What do we got up here? Look at this. We got Sin of the Dark Cloud's general overseeing the battlefield, savoring his victory. Now charging in to these Dalian marksmen. Wisely pulling him out of there. Yeah, it would definitely not do for Sin of the Dark Cloud to lose his general this late point in the game. He could send his troops into a panic. Although, I say that, but I don't think he has too many troops left. Yeah, he's got a small number over here. We're just cleaning up some of the Royal Guard. Let's see. Yeah, these Dalian Paladins not having fun. The Dragon Slayers looking like... Oh, they're trying to retreat. Looks like the Paladins are trying to get out of there as well. Maybe trying to find an advantageous position. Or just avoid the attack from that single cataphract unit. Not too sure where these guys are going. Oh, I see.
They run like children. Scour them from the field.
They're going for the Dalian Paladins. But those Paladins are actually going to rout. And that is all she wrote for the forces, I believe, of Pope Fluffy Duck. All that remains is Vislac and the tiny amount of Royal Guard that has not been cut down by the runic forces. Locked in combat here against the Sapphire Blazeman. Another one of them falling. Actually, I remember this part. Okay, so you guys are going to see something pretty cool. We're actually going to fast forward a little bit. Watch this little last stand here by Vislac's general. Vislac himself putting up his final courageous stand on the shores of this lake. Being driven back by the infantry here. The infantry now retreating after he hacks down one of the Balcott tribesmen. Oh, look at this Balcott tribesman going toe-to-toe with his heavily armored general. Just taking those hits, soaking it up. You can see the general of Sin of the Dark Cloud. We're going to have a little bit of general showdown here. Charging in, Vislac's general absorbing the charge. And those that loyal Balcott tribesmen fleeing out of there. We've still got Rules as general up as well. Rules just watching this duel go down. I remember this. On voice chat, we were talking about how whoever wins this duel is the new leader of the Runic army, the new High Commander. So you can see the rest of the Runic forces just kind of assembling around here, no doubt chanting, cheering on their commander. He's not doing too bad there. He's getting some the Royal, not the Royal Guard, the Dalish General is getting some good hits in. The Runic General, though, driving him back. Look at this. He's trying to, like, drive him towards that line of infantry. Aw, this is some foul play right here. And he is going to get caught on that rank of Sapphire Bladesman, and the Runic forces are going to cut him down from behind. Not very honorable, but definitely in keeping, I think, for the flavor of that particular faction. And there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was quite the struggle. We managed to kill a fair amount of our enemies, Mechanic and I. The forces of Visek and Pope Fluffy Duck, they lost, I think, a significant number of their troops, although we really weren't able to do the damage that we wanted to. They did a good job at setting up their defensive line, bottling us up, preventing us from breaking through on the flanks with their own cavalry, having them ready and waiting in position, kind of predicting our moves and things like that. So we really got shut down, but it was a good fight nonetheless. Into the Dark Cloud, and Rules definitely stepped up to the plate, though, after our defeat, and pulled things back from the brink. Everyone did a pretty good job. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, if you guys want to get involved in these kinds of battles, either with the RP or help us test new maps and things like that, which is what we're doing here, then make sure you take a look at the links in the description. You can find the Discord there. Come and join the community. We'd love to have you guys, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!